From the contentious battlegrounds of local school board meetings to the hallowed, often fraught, chambers of the U.S. Capitol, a profoundly reconfigured Christian right is asserting its influence. This iteration is not merely a resurgence, it represents a critical evolution characterized by a younger demographic, heightened aggression, and unparalleled media sophistication. We must critically analyze its origins, its strategic adaptations, and the urgent implications this ascendant force holds for the future of American democratic institutions and its pluralistic society. The term Christian right first gained significant traction in the late 20th century, marking a pivotal moment in American political history. Its emergence was not spontaneous, but a calculated response to perceived societal shifts and judicial rulings that challenged traditional moral frameworks. Leaders like Jerry Falwell, through organizations such as the Moral Majority, masterfully mobilized conservative Christians. This mobilization coalesced around specific potent issues: the legality of abortion following Roe v. Wade, the contentious debates over school prayer, and a fervent opposition to the perceived excesses of the sexual revolution. These concerns provided a powerful unifying narrative, framing political engagement as a moral imperative. The movement effectively forged an unprecedented alliance between evangelical Christianity and the Republican Party. This strategic alignment proved instrumental in the election of Ronald Reagan, fundamentally reshaping the American political landscape for decades. It demonstrated the formidable power of a religiously motivated voting bloc when effectively organized and directed. The moral majority's influence extended beyond elections, embedding a distinct cultural and moral discourse within conservative politics. However, by the early 2000s, the movement's public prominence appeared to wane, leading many political analysts and religious scholars to declare its decline. Membership in traditional mainline churches continued its steady decline, and younger Americans increasingly disengaged from organized religion. This demographic shift fueled the perception that the Christian right, as it was then known, was a spent force, a relic of a bygone era. The prevailing secularization thesis suggested a linear progression away from religious influence in public life. Yet, this assessment proved premature, failing to account for the movement's inherent adaptability and strategic resilience. What appeared to be a decline was, in retrospect, a period of recalibration and strategic reorientation, laying the groundwork for its subsequent, more potent resurgence. Today, we are witnessing not merely a revival, but the critical emergence of a profoundly transformed Christian right. This contemporary iteration diverges sharply from its 20th century predecessor, both in its operational methodology and its ideological articulation. It is no longer primarily anchored by the charismatic authority of televangelists broadcasting from megachurches. Instead, this new movement thrives within the decentralized, hyper-connected ecosystems of social media, podcasts, and YouTube channels. This digital infrastructure enables a rapid dissemination of ideas, bypassing traditional media gatekeepers and fostering direct engagement with a younger, digitally native audience. The shift represents a fundamental change in communication strategy and audience capture. This younger demographic, often blending fervent faith with an assertive nationalism, actively engages in the ongoing culture wars. Their political discourse is frequently infused with populist rhetoric, channeling grievances against perceived secular progressive elites. The movement's leaders are less preoccupied with the traditional metrics of church growth and more acutely focused on direct political action. Their strategic objectives include winning elections at all levels, influencing legislative processes, and directly shaping cultural norms. This represents a critical shift from primarily moral suasion to overt political power acquisition. They frame contemporary political struggles not merely as policy debates, but as an existential battle for the soul of the nation, pitting a Christian America against a hostile, secularizing force. This framing often incorporates elements of Christian nationalism, an ideology asserting that the U.S. was founded as a Christian nation and its laws should reflect Christian values. This perspective is not merely religious, it is a political theology that seeks to establish a particular religious and cultural hegemony. The digital sphere amplifies these narratives, creating powerful echo chambers that reinforce their worldview. The New Christian Right leverages sophisticated digital tools for organizing, fundraising, and rapid response, demonstrating a mastery of modern information warfare. This technological prowess allows for unprecedented coordination and influence, extending their reach far beyond traditional congregational boundaries. Their decentralized nature makes them both resilient and difficult to counter. The New Christian Right's political agenda is meticulously constructed around several core issues, each serving as a potent rallying cry and a strategic point of intervention. These issues are not merely policy preferences, they are framed as fundamental moral and existential battles. Education. The battle over public education has become a primary front in the culture war, reflecting deep-seated anxieties about societal values. Debates over curriculum content, ranging from the historical controversies surrounding evolution to contemporary discussions on critical race theory and LGBTQ+ inclusive materials, are fiercely contested. These disputes are often framed as protecting children from indoctrination. Parents, often mobilized by well-organized activist groups, protest outside schools and dominate school board meetings, demanding curriculum changes and the removal of books. This local-level engagement is a critical component of their broader strategy, aiming to reshape public institutions from the ground up. The control of educational narratives is seen as paramount for shaping future generations. Gender and sexuality. This remains a foundational pillar of the movement's ideological framework. The New Christian Right actively pushes back against advancements in LGBTQ+ rights, including same-sex marriage, transgender rights, and broader progressive shifts in gender identity discourse. They advocate for a return to what they define as traditional gender roles and sexual ethics. This resistance is often rooted in specific theological interpretations of Scripture, which are then translated into political demands for legislative and social policy. The defense of traditional family values serves as a powerful unifying theme, mobilizing a significant segment of their base. This issue is frequently presented as a defense against moral decay and societal fragmentation. Religious freedom. A central tenet of the New Christian Right's advocacy is the assertion that conservative Christians are facing systemic persecution and discrimination. They position themselves as the primary defenders of religious liberty, arguing for expansive interpretations of religious freedom that often prioritize individual or institutional religious beliefs over broader civil rights. This argument is frequently deployed in legal battles concerning public accommodations, healthcare mandates, and educational policies. The concept of religious freedom is thus weaponized, transforming it from a shield protecting minority faiths into a sword used to challenge secular governance and progressive social norms. This redefinition has profound implications for the separation of church and state, politics and power. Beyond specific issues, the overarching objective is the acquisition and exercise of political power. From influencing state legislatures to impacting national political discourse, the movement actively pushes for laws and policies explicitly shaped by their interpretation of biblical values. This is framed as a necessary endeavor to protect and restore traditional America. This pursuit of power is not merely about electoral victories, it is about embedding a particular worldview into the legal and cultural fabric of the nation. It represents a critical shift from seeking influence to demanding legislative and judicial supremacy. The movement views political engagement as a sacred duty, a means to enact divine will within the temporal sphere. A critical analytical distinction between the old and new Christian right lies in their strategic operational models. Unlike the hierarchical top-down structure of the moral majority, today's movement is characterized by its remarkable decentralization and networked organization. This structural shift makes it both more resilient and more pervasive. Its influence propagates through a vast, interconnected web of online influencers, smaller, agile advocacy organizations, and grassroots activist networks. This distributed model allows for rapid adaptation and localized impact, circumventing the vulnerabilities inherent in centralized leadership. The focus has shifted from national figureheads to a multitude of localized voices. Crucially, the New Christian Right has strategically reoriented its focus from solely chasing the presidency to meticulously building power at the local and state levels. This ground-up approach targets school boards, city councils, and state houses, recognizing these as critical levers for long-term cultural and political transformation. These local victories often go unnoticed by national media, yet they accumulate significant influence. Local political meetings, often hosted within churches or community centers, serve as vital hubs for organizing and mobilizing. Candidates with overtly faith-based platforms are actively recruited and supported for these local offices. This strategy acknowledges that cultural change is often initiated and solidified at the community level before ascending to national prominence. Online activist networks play a pivotal role in coordinating these local efforts, sharing resources, strategies, and messaging across diverse geographical areas. This digital infrastructure enables a level of coordination and rapid response that was unimaginable for previous iterations of the movement. It fosters a sense of collective purpose and shared grievance. By systematically shaping culture and policy from the ground up, one community at a time, the new Christian right is cultivating a deep, enduring influence. This patient, persistent strategy aims to embed their values into the very fabric of American society, ensuring a long-term impact that transcends individual election cycles. It represents a sophisticated understanding of political power dynamics. The Christian right, far from disappearing, has undergone a profound and critical adaptation. It has reemerged with a new generation of leaders, leveraging sophisticated digital tools and imbued with a renewed sense of urgent purpose. This is not merely a cyclical phenomenon. It represents a significant reconfiguration of American political theology and power dynamics. Whether one interprets this resurgence as a vital revival of faith in the public square, or a profound threat to the foundational principles of liberal democracy and pluralism, its impact is undeniable. This movement is actively shaping the discourse, the legislative agenda, and the very cultural fabric of the United States. Its trajectory demands rigorous, ongoing scholarly analysis. The implications for civil liberties, educational autonomy, and the separation of church and state are profound and warrant urgent consideration. Understanding its strategies, its ideological underpinnings, and its evolving influence is not merely an academic exercise. It is a critical imperative for anyone seeking to comprehend the future trajectory of American politics. This movement will undoubtedly continue to shape America's future for decades to come, demanding our sustained critical attention. This is the Scholar's Ledger, where history, faith, and power are revealed. Like, share, subscribe, and join the search for truth.